Howdy, howdy, Sudella here, and welcome to our brief overview of the Vampire Coast from a Dowie perspective. In this video, I'm going to kind of go an outline over the units that I've seen so far. Sort of the discussion I had when the Vampire Coast units were first revealed. I did review that and kind of gave my thoughts on that. Kind of want to see, are they still valid? I've had 5 or 6 matches against the Vampire Coast. Now I'm going to I'll put them up as soon as I can get a chance to get after them, and sort of what I've seen so far in this matchup and what to worry about. First of all, I will say the Vampire Coast have a lot of capable builds, and the one Lord that I've expected to see, like I've seen Aranus Assault Spite. I haven't seen Luther Harkon. I think Aranus Assault Spite has some abilities, but really is not. You shouldn't see her in the Dwarf matchup. I have not seen Luther Harkon, and again, he's an anti-magic, right? He's an anti-magic duelist. You might see him against the Dowie up on the Terrorgeist from time to time. This is Silostra Direfin is the Lord I thought you'd see a lot against the Dowie. And I haven't seen her yet, but you don't need to put her on a Rotting Leviathan. She can be ethereal and do magic damage and do just fine. She has good abilities, damage to combatants when she casts spells, Arcane Conduit, Song of Enthrallment, minus 26 melee attack, that's around her when she uses it. The Ghost of the Past to summon Damned Knights if she wants it. I don't think she needs it, but she could definitely have that for a key moment in the game. Her spells are decent. Tide Call, don't really need it. Spiteful Shot, Spiteful Shot could be useful. Let's actually say this actually could be useful based on what I'm seeing, and it's pretty cheap, 50 gold. The Denzians of the Deep, definitely. Rotting Prometheans are much better than I thought they would be. Fog of the Damned, also a good spell, and these Kraken's Pull and Vargas Revenge, not really needed. In her items, the Bordello Flabellum, which improve recharge rate minus 10. So she's going to come in at 2,000, be on foot. I mean, she's got 40 speed. No Dowie are going to be able to catch her, and you don't need anything else. And then that way you can take 2 Morngol Haunters. Now these Morngol Haunters are good, because you don't see them until they're right on top of you. Now they can, you can, I don't think you need to bring these things. Maybe you want to bring Foe Seeker for the speed to get them around in the back line, but 1450, they're a big investment, but they can get into the Dowie back line. And I said this is the one unit I'm very worried about. I mean, as far as the rest of the Lords, I have seen a Vampire Fleet Admiral. I mean, they have, some spells that might be useful, and I have seen Count Noctilus. Now, Count Noctilus is pretty decent. I mean, melee expert, and does he have anti-infantry? No, he's bonus versus large. And when he gets onto his mount, is he still bonus versus large? No. I mean, I've seen him on his mount. He's good. I don't think, but I really think Silostra is going to be the pick. Like, she has got the right kind of spells to get the job done against the Dowie. She really does. Anyways, and comes in cheap at 1900, and the Dowie can't catch her. That's the problem. So kind of this leadership is what I'll expect. I've seen 2 Morngols every time so far. No, I haven't. I've seen at least 1 though. But I'll see 2 Morngols, and I think that's what you're going to see. They're really good. They get into the back line. They can beat down your Quarrelers, your Rangers, whatever you have in the back line, and they can move around. They got decent speed. This is kind of why you need some kind of answer to the Morngol Haunters. Are you going to see the Vampire Fleet Captains or the Gunnery White? I don't know. I doubt it. You may end up seeing the Gunnery White if they're going to go all in on Queen Bess, and because I think the Gunnery White has Enchanted Ballistics. This was like ridiculous. 142 gold, 60% accuracy instead of the 30 that the Master Engineer has, and plus 20 reload skill. Just makes me sad when I see that. It's just a better version of what the Master Engineer has for a freaking zombie. Anyways, now this is where I haven't these zombie pirate deckhand mobs with pole arms are quite good, and I've seen them in every fight now so far, and they just hold and hold and hold and hold. They don't have good stats, but there's lots of them, And against the Dowie, going up against Longbeards or stuff like that, they can really hold. Like, I'm really rethinking my build a little bit. The build I'll show near the end of this has been quite successful so far. But these guys are really good. I've seen maybe a few Zombie Pirate deckhands. Haven't seen the Tide of Skjold. I also have not seen Sirens. I guess they do magic damage, and they're susceptible to Rune of Wrath and Rune. I have seen Depth Guard, and I have also seen the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard for whatever reason. Now, Depth Guard, they will saw through all Dowie infantry with the exception of, hammers can beat them pretty easily, and Ironbreakers. But they'll saw through basic Longbeards or your basic infantry, and they kill them fast, and they keep their health up. So they are dangerous. You have to be ready for them. I don't know. It's hard to see how that. I don't know how this is going to end up, but what I would see, well, I think a couple Depth Guard, just regular Depth Guard, are a pretty good choice. But anyways, now the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mob I've seen, and they're good. They are actually quite good, and they have this ability, when their ammunition is above 80% plus 30% missile damage, armor piercing, explosion, etc. They're actually, you gotta watch out for them. Now, you can absolutely annihilate them with quarrelers and stuff like that, but the problem is you have to deal with the Morgul Haunters first, and these guys can get in a lot of damage. Now, I have not seen the deck gunners yet, which really I think they should be a good unit. They do have the missile parry that can get through dwarf shields. They have 245 range. They do armor piercing missile damage. I would think you would see those at some point. I haven't seen the Black Spot, I don't think, nor the Shade Wraith Gunners, which I doubt we'll see. Units that, and like, I think these deck gunners, they should be reasonably good against the Dowie. I think. I know these basic ones, the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mob, are pretty decent. When you get into the monsters, haven't seen a Bloated Corpse yet, but I think it would be fun. No Scurvy Dogs. I've seen one unit of Fellbats, but really, this is not what I'm seeing so far. I don't think, these Morgul Haunters are so effective in getting the back line that maybe they don't need these kind of units. I think it would still be a good idea for them to bring, one or two of these types of units to chase down or to get in some charges, but I don't know. I haven't seen any animated Hulks. I have seen Morguls. Now, interestingly, these Morguls are, they're pretty strong, and they can sort of, like, they can get in there and get some damage done because they're anti-infantry armor piercing and they have stock, so they get really close. So they can kind of get in there and get really close, and you can't do anything when they're on the way. The Rotting Prometheans, now these are actually pretty solid. They're difficult to deal with. I will say they're not anti-large or anti-anything, but I mean, they have 45 speed. That is fast enough so that no Dowie units can run away from the damn things. And they have 120 armor, so the units you bring to take down Morguls, which only have 40 armor, can't deal with the Rotting Prometheans. They just can't. These Rotting Prometheans are actually quite decent. And I found it was a bit of a struggle. Now, the Night Terrors are just a better version of the Morguls. Again, they have stock. They can get really close. I do have a game against them where, if you can focus them, you're not going to have any problems. But if you can't, you could have a lot of problems. I will say I don't know that we'll see the deck droppers. You might from time to time, but they're really susceptible. 15 armor. They do have armor-piercing missile damage. I have seen the Rotting Promethean Gunnery mob. Now, this was surprisingly good. Really struggled because what it did, Lamprey's Revenge, I don't know how good they would be, but here's what they did. They were able to whittle down my Slayers with that, because they don't have armor piercing ammunition, but they have 90 range. I don't know. This could be a pretty good unit, and they have great melee stats, like 38 melee attack, 48 melee defense, and armor piercing. Like, they're just and they have that range. I would think that these Rotting Prometheans as just the base unit would just be better, you know, based on my experience. And then I have seen, definitely have seen Carronades and have seen Queen Bess. Now, Queen Bess is expensive, 1,600, and I've seen the Carronades. They're just cannons, like, they're good. But they all have this, when their ammunition is above 80%, they really hit hard. Like 30% armor piercing, 30% missile damage, 30% armor piercing explosion, and 30% explosion. And Queen Bess has it too. And Queen Bess does a ton of damage. A massive amount of damage. She does have flaming attacks. So, you know, I could see something like this with Queen Bess where Silostra would use that spiteful shot for the 90 accuracy. That could be pretty crushing. The Carronades are good, but you can kind of deal with them. You know, these zombie pirate deckhands are really difficult to get through. They take a long time. You know, depth guard, I don't know. Maybe a sea lots, maybe you don't. But these Rotting Prometheans, they are a tough unit to deal with. You know, when I'm kind of looking at how everything sort of plays out, you know, the zombie pirate deckhands are good. This Queen Bess could be really, really fantastic. And in every game I've played where Queen Bess has been there, I've had a struggle to get to it, and it's taken down my troops really, really fast. Now, that's mostly because of my build, but you know, that is what it is. Now, the Necrofest Colossus, the Gallows Giant, the Rotting Leviathan, Death Shriek Terrorgeist, you know, you're gonna see them. Death Shriek Terrorgeist has, you know, has a breath attack, and you know, it causes fear and terror, and it regenerates. I just don't think these monsters are generally a good buy against the Dowie. You can deal with them. You know, I had a game with Noctilus on his mount, and it was a really long game, relatively close, but you know, I thought that, you know, a cheaper Lord would just do better. And you know, I don't know, Silostra buffing up Queen Bess, and because Queen Bess can kill over half of a unit's health in one shot, and has what, 16 shots? Can do a ton of damage. His armor piercing, that's a ton. Like, I could see, you know, builds sort of getting into this sort of thing. A couple Rotting Prometheans, a couple Mongol Haunters. Like, these Rotting Prometheans are just, they're really solid. I've been surprised at the fights that they've had, and mucking them up with the zombie deckhands. Now, you're going to see a lot of stuff. I think Mongol Haunters are always going to be a premium pick, and I'm scared of Silostra. Queen Bess, I think you need to have an answer for. Rotting Prometheans, I don't know. I think they could be really, really good in this matchup. If someone really wants to do well with this faction, the Rotting Prometheans could be really, really strong in this matchup. And then from beyond that, I don't know. You know, it's like the ability for yeah, we could, if we get just like a finish out this army, okay. The ability for this army to just hold is pretty significant. We got what, 84. Yeah, so the ability for this army to hold out is pretty significant, and they're pretty capable. They're pretty capable of dealing with the Dowie in terms of the Dowie don't kill things fast. So these zombie pirate deckhand mobs can hold up your units for a very long time, and they get a few kills too because they do have armor piercing. Yeah, they are anti-large, but you know, they do a reasonable job in that. Letting Queen Bess fire and doing some work with these Rotting Prometheans and the Mongol Haunters, like these Rotting Prometheans, I don't know. I think they're better. I think they're quite good. I think they're better than I originally thought. Depth guard, like I say, they're like a bone saw, but they can be dealt with, you know, and sirens and stuff like that. So I'll go to my build and talk a little bit about that. I think most of what I thought would be the case is the case, although I haven't seen Silostra. I think she's really good in this matchup. I know she does magic damage, but it just, you know, an army like this to me seems scary, seems frightening. Now the basic build that I've put together to start, and I think I've played like 5 games and won 5. Have I won 5 out of 5? I might have. I don't know. I might have lost one. I'm not sure. But I've played a few good opponents and some interesting builds. And this is just the idea of this build is Longbeards. I have 6 Longbeards and 6 Bugman's Rangers, and they all have immunity to psychology. The Bugman Rangers, of course, generate and do a lot of damage. I do have the Dragonback Slayers for that slow. Do have the Grumbling Guard to keep up the vigor. And I have the Runesmith and the Rune Lord. The Rune Lord is on foot, and his big abilities are Master Rune of Wrath and Rune of Negation. And the Runesmith has Rune of Wrath and Rune, the Hammer of Carrick draws to go up against Mongols, and the Master Rune of Groth One Eye for the +8 leadership. And I mean, this is a pretty robust sort of lineup. You know, I could see other builds, and I imagine, you know, I'll play with this, but this feels pretty easy to control for me. I mean, I'm not the best with my micro and everything else like that, so this is generally pretty easy to control. And you can send Bugman's Rangers on stealth missions to look for Queen Bess. That is a possibility. You know, I don't know, like, without Queen Bess, you know, if you look at this build, you get rid of that spell with a 90 accuracy, you get rid of Queen Bess, and, you know, you sort of focus in on these Rotting Prometheans. I think, boy, they can do a ton of damage, and they'd be terrible to deal with. Yeah, where are we going here? Rotting Prometheans. Oh man, yeah, that looks so unpleasant to me. This build: 4 Rotting Prometheans, 5 zombie pirate deckhands with pole arms, and then 2 zombie pirate gunnery mobs just to harass, and then Mongol haunters to get into your back line with Silostra, really just casting, putting in the Ghost of the Past where she needs them, putting even more Denzian, more of these damn Rotting Prometheans where she wants, and using Denzians as a deep with -26 melee attack to really pick away at you know, Slayers. Like, that would be a good target for that. -8 leadership does nothing, but the -26 melee attack makes everything else last longer. Got 147 gold left. You know, I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe you even take a little bit less and you get another gunnery mob. Yeah, 550, something like that. Sorry, 550. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you can look at how this goes together, but this seems quite scary to me. Is when you get sort of that type of build that we're looking at here, with the 2 Mongol Haunters, Silostra, 4 deckhands just to muck things up, a couple gunnery mobs to harass, and those big Rotting Prometheans. Like, how are you going to take those down? I mean, this is maybe you need to bring a unit of Giant Slayers, because they would absolutely destroy the Rotting Prometheans, but they don't do as good against the Mongol Haunters. You know, I mean, they'll do fine, but Mongol Haunters only have 50 armor. That's why they're a little bit Mongol Haunters are a little bit vulnerable, I think, in that back line. And you know, maybe, you know, I kind of looking at this sort of build, maybe you do have to go super wide as the Dowie, because here's the thing, like, if I take if I take away my basic Longbeards, the thing is, Dwarf Warriors are enough. Like, Dwarf Warriors are enough to deal with all their garbage in the front. You know, you might even want to take some miners with blasting charges, something like that, in your front line, so to sort of just absolutely obliterate those units really quickly early on. Yeah, and they're very, very slow getting to the front line. Maybe this is a matchup where the miners with the blasting charges are just brilliant. You know, maybe this is a full front line of miners with blasting charges and a couple of Longbeards in the second line, and then you're kind of getting into sort of that sort of build. I don't know. Anyways, this is sort of my first thoughts on the few games that I've played against the Vampire Coast. There are going to be some builds that are going to be tough for the Dowie to face, for sure. There always are. Someone always thinks of something pretty clever. I think that build is going to include Silostra. I think she's quite strong, and she has the ability to support a cannon like Queen Bess in particular with that 90% accuracy spell. You know, it does cause magical damage, but that damn thing causes so much damage it just doesn't matter. Like, like it is causes a ton of damage, and you know, just muck things up and everything else. And the Rotting Prometheans, I think, are a hidden gem. I think they're a hidden gem in this matchup against the Dowie. Yeah, they're large, but they have a ton of armor. You know, like maybe it's time to bring in some Longbeards with great weapons. But the thing is, they have really good stats too. This is the problem with these damn things. Not only are they heavily armored, but they have good stats. It's not like cavalry. Because cavalry, they have 38 and 48. And, you know, you go look at typical cavalry and they'll have like, you know, 30 and 28. So they're, you know, this is looking at having basically 20 to 30 more stat points. So they can sit in the pocket and fight, and they have decent health. You know, I don't know. I think they could be dangerous. You know, you might want to supplement them with a couple of depth guard. Like, these depth guards are bone saws. They just saw through everything fast. They have a ton of weapon strength, 64 weapon strength. These guys have 77 though, and their armor piercing. Yeah, but it's the number 45 models versus 9. I don't know. I think the Rotting Prometheans are definitely a hidden gem that I doubt will stay hidden for too long if people stick with the matchup. Like, it might be like you might not, it might be another you know, week or two and you just won't be able to get a matchup against the Vampire Coast. You know, like, people will just stop playing them into the Dowie. I hope that good players keep looking at these guys and sort of developing the build, because they're kind of an interesting unit. But you never know. You never know how things are going to go. Anyways, love to hear from you. There's going to be non-stop games up on YouTube to watch. All your favorites have already been playing lots, but there's going to be tons of builds and very interesting builds. I think definitely, I will reiterate, the Dowie have an advantage in this matchup for sure. There's just no doubt about it. And there are lots of builds available to the Dowie. I think they will slowly change over time. You know, the base build, really, with the Vampire Coast, I think just Longbeards and Bugman's Rangers, a Runesmith and a Rune Lord. I mean, it's just a good, safe build. You know, you got your Dragonback Slayers, your Grumbling Guard. I mean, it's a good, safe, easy build. It's not super wide, but you know, this might change over time. So love to hear from you guys. Love to hear what your thoughts are, maybe your predictions compared to what you've seen in actual gameplay. You know, I think one of the things I said is I thought that Vampire Coast are going to be strong against Bretonnia, you know, Greenskins, Beastmen, and factions like that, and they certainly are. I think they're decent anti-cav, and you know, that's, I think, showing out to be true. You know, but it looks like, which is really interesting, and I think a good job by CA, it looks like Vampire Coast are kind of coming in right in the middle. They're not overpowered, they're not underpowered, they have interesting units and unbelievably beautiful artwork, and yeah, no, they are absolutely amazing. Yeah, their artwork is incredible. I just, you know what, as a little bit of a bonus, video's over, I want to go and take a look at Queen Bess. Where is she? I want to take a look at Queen Bess. I want to take a look at the Necrofex Colossus. We'll see if the Gallows Giant is any different. I just want to see what they look like. And the Rotting Prometheans, nothing special there, I don't think. Yeah, this bloated corpse looks amazing. This is like the most amazing piece of artwork that's not going to be seen a whole lot. So let's just see what I want to get some good light here. Eshin, Fallen Man, God, Galbraz, Golly. Oh man, there we go. We'll get into the desert. So we'll go start there. I just want to go and look at these units up close. some of the artwork that's in them, because you could see the artwork looked amazing in sort of the reveals, but no one has looked close enough for my liking so far. Yeah, like Queen Bess. Oh my god. Here, let me just bring this down. Yeah. Just look at that. Just amazing artwork. Like, zombie sitting here. Look at this. Oh, it's a female zombie too. Cool. Sitting on, riding on the back. You know, the wheels on the bottom. Zombie here. I love this zombie that's in the crow's nest that's dead. Well, they're all dead or not dead or whatever they are. This is like one of my favorite pictures. Let's see if I can get in here. And that's just fantastic. Like, what amazing artwork on Queen Bess. And for the Necrofest Colossus. Okay, so is this the Regiment of Renown? That's the Gallows Giant. So that's the Regiment of Renown. They look like they're pretty close. But here's what I love about them. Like the attention to detail, like the skulls and the feet. And this is like an old you know, like an upside down mainmast, right? You know, and you see this guy up front just waddling around, and like the ship in here is just full of undead. Like the lore behind this is that basically you took an old ship, put a whole bunch of undead flesh together, and there's something inside of this thing. I can't remember what they said is inside of this, but because I don't know the lore all that well. But just look at this flesh. It's like pieces of stuff tying a ship together. Like, this is brilliant. This is absolutely amazing artwork, and I love it. Yeah, like someone that was hung on the ship just happened to find its way on this this artwork. You've got zombies hanging off. You know, I love this animation where they load up the big cannons. Man, this is absolutely glorious artwork. It really is. Like, it's just beautiful. Like, it even stands up when you get pretty close. Now, is this thing much different? Kind of looks like it is, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, it's all red. Well, maybe not that different. I mean, you've still got all the bodies in here. They're just a sort of a different shade. Yeah. And, yeah, and it's got flames coming out of the damn thing. So really, really good on that. And yeah, this is an artwork masterpiece, I think. Like, this thing is awesome. Like, just look at the damn thing. And this isn't the one. One of these has like a sword going through its head. Unfortunately, this one didn't pull, but it looks amazing. Like, this is a bloated ogre, and I love the way it runs. It runs like a baby trying to get food. It's amazing. like the attention to detail, care, and everything on this unit is absolutely amazing. I just love the artwork here. And this is a unit they had to know they're not going to see it played a whole lot. It's going to be very uncommon, but there's going to be some matchups where you're going to see it. It's going to be interesting, you know. And you know, these guys, they look pretty good, but kind of what you'd expect. Yeah, I just love the artwork. They've done such a fantastic job on this DLC. Like, everything looks great. And good job, CA. And they are fun to fight. They're probably not really fun to fight for Greenskins and Beastmen and Bretonia, but I'm sure people will develop builds that will do really well against them. So anyways, I think I'll end the video there with this bloated corpse. Like, look at that artwork. That's just fantastic. With this bloated corpse in center screen. Look forward to any comments or questions, any kind of testing. I'm going to be doing a ton of testing with these guys. I do have to find ways to improve this build. This is just a first pass build that I made. This basically the second that the units were released, kind of a month or like 3 weeks before the game launched there. So we'll have to develop this build. So definitely looking forward to hearing from you guys. And with that said, I will see you soon.